Which of the following accounting treatments most likely represents a set of conservative accounting activities? So we've got a bunch of different answers here, so we're going to walk through on these. So when you're looking at conservative versus aggressive accounting activities, what you kind of want to think about is, does this lead to more expenses and liabilities, or does this lead to more revenue or income assets? If it leads to more expenses or liabilities, then it will lean towards more conservative. If it leads to good things like revenue, income, assets, it's going to be more aggressive. So let's just keep that in mind. So we've got A, increasing estimates of salvage value. This is going to be not as conservative. If we think we're going to sell something for more in the future, that's going to change our depreciation calculation and what we're going to hold it for on the balance sheet as well. Decreasing accrual of reserves for bad debts. This is also going to be more aggressive if we're holding less of this on the balance sheet for bad debts. If more bad debts go bad than we thought, then we're going to have to pull from elsewhere. And C, early recognition, not C, the third part, early recognition of impairments. So that one would be more conservative, but we can rule out A for 2 out of the 3 being bad. Then for B, using accelerated depreciation, this is more conservative. C, secondly, decreasing valuation allowances on deferred tax assets. This is going to be more aggressive. And then B, because you're holding less money for these potential assets in the future. And then C, expensing current period costs. That's also going to be a good conservative approach. So B is our best answer so far. Let's see if C is any better. So we've got early recognition of impairment, which we said was good up here. Increasing valuation allowances on deferred tax assets. That's going to be better than decreasing. And then lastly, using accelerated depreciation. That's also going to be good. So we've got 3 out of 3 good here for C. So we will rule out answer B. A company reports the following annual figures. So we've got item and amount, and we have inventory, sales, cost of goods sold, and average trade payables. Based on a 365-day year, the company's days payable outstanding is closest to. Let's bring in that formula and calculate. Days payable outstanding is going to be average payables divided by COGS, cost of goods sold, and we're multiplying that by 365. So we really only need these 2 numbers. All this other was just thrown in here as noise to throw you off. And when we work that through, we get 146 as our days payable outstanding, which is going to be answer C. Which of the following activities will most likely increase cash flow from operations? And we have 3 activities here, 1, 2, 3, and different combinations of these. So we need to look through these statements and pick which ones will line up best with increasing cash flow. Statement 1, a $334,000 increase in accounts receivable. This is going to decrease cash flow since these are essentially sales that we've made, but cash has not come in. That's what leads to an increase in accounts receivable. With cash not coming in, that's not going to increase our cash flow. 2, a $250 decrease in inventories. This will be more likely to increase our cash flow since inventory is decreasing implies that we sold inventory off, so we should have some cash flow in from that. And 3, a $600,000 increase in accounts payable. This is also going to increase our cash flow, maybe just temporarily, but these are basically amounts that we owe our vendors. And so with this amount going up, that cash has not gone out yet, so this is more likely to increase cash flow. So we're going to be looking at C, activities 2 and 3 are most likely to increase cash flow from operations. Mavi Incorporated is a male fashion brand based in Italy. Ahmed is an analyst working on the cash flow statement of Mavi using the direct method. So we have sales, cost of goods sold, interest expense, depreciation expense, and then decrease in accounts receivable, increase in accounts payable, and increase in interest payable. Using the financial data provided in the table, the cash collected from customers of Mavi Incorporated is closest to. So we have a lot of extra information here, but there's really only 2 things we need: sales and change in receivable. So we've got sales of 150 And then our decrease in accounts receivable is 10, which means that we collected an additional $10 from last time. So we're going to do 150 minus that negative 10. So this nets out to a positive, and we add that in, we get 160. Answer C. Which of the following is least likely a category into which a firm reporting under the IFRS framework could put dividend payments? So least likely, they can put them under two options, but they can't put them under another. Is it operating, investing, or C, operating and financing activities? So they can go under operating and they can go under financing, but they cannot go under investing activities. Answer B. In an economy in a period of inflation, which of the following methods will most likely produce a higher debt to equity ratio? Is it going to be LIFO, FIFO, or inventory valuation method will not affect it? It is going to affect it, so we're going to rule out C. We have a period of inflation, which means that prices are going up. So FIFO, we're going to be selling these units, and LIFO, we're going to be selling these units first. So with this in mind, let's just write out our balance sheet formula simply again. So assets are going to be equal to liabilities plus equity. So under this scenario, without considering inflation yet, inventory is held as an asset. So if our asset is higher, inventory is not going to affect liabilities. So all else equal, if our asset inventory is higher, that means our equity also needs to be higher. So a higher debt to equity ratio is going to be produced by this equity value being lower. So for our equity value to be lower, we need to figure out under which scenario is inventory held at a lower value to lower assets. So I talked through a lot there, but essentially assets need to be lower, inventory needs to be lower to make equity lower to make this ratio higher. So coming back to this chart over here, so under LIFO, if we're selling this inventory here, that means we're going to be holding this inventory on our balance sheet down here. So we're going to be holding lower value inventory on our balance sheet, so that will likely be lowering the asset value. Whereas for FIFO, we're going to be selling these and then we're going to be holding these higher values. So we're going to be holding higher values on the assets, which means equity will go up and this will improve. So we're going to be looking at LIFO A as our reason to produce higher debt to equity. And again, it's because we're selling this inventory, so we're going to be holding these lower valued inventories on the balance sheet, lower valued on the asset side. Our liabilities aren't changing related to this, so that means our equity has to be lower to balance this out, and that's going to make our debt to equity go higher. Answer A. An analyst has gathered the following information on a small cap firm for May 2016. Opening inventory, closing inventory, and cost of sales. Given the information, the inventory ratio is closest to. This would be a pretty straightforward formula. Let's walk through this calculation. Inventory turnover is going to be our cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Cost of sales is 10 million. Average inventory is going to be the average between these two. So 2 and 3 million, average should be 2.5 million. We'll divide that by into 10, and that gives us inventory turnover of 4. Answer B. In which step of the financial statement analysis framework would an analyst most likely utilize regression analysis? Is it when processing data, analyzing and interpreting the data, or C, develop and communicate conclusions and recommendations? So for B and C, we're going to rule these out. This is going to be after the regression analysis. Regression analysis is going to take place during the processing data portion. After we've run the regression and processed the data, that's when we would be analyzing, and then we would be developing our conclusions and recommendations. Answer A. In which of the following accounting systems would an analyst write down inventories as the lowest value between the cost of inventories and the market price? Is this going to be under IFRS, under GAAP, or C, both under IFRS and under GAAP? So this is going to describe answer B, US GAAP. IFRS is not going to follow this. They follow the lower of cost and net realizable value. So it's not market price. It's the lowest of cost and realizable value. US GAAP is going to be lowest of cost and market price. Answer B. Which of the following statements is or are most accurate regarding the common size analysis of financial statements? So we've got 1, 2, and 3, and then we need to determine which of these are good and accurate. So we've got A, a vertical common size balance sheet presents all the line items as a percentage of total assets. That is good and correct. And I don't have much to add there other than that's describing what a vertical common size balance sheet presents. 2, a vertical common size income statement presents all the line items as a percentage of net income. That's not going to be accurate. Income statement is going to be using horizontal. So let's read statement 3. A horizontal common size income statement calculates all line items as a percentage of the base year's income. That's also going to be accurate. And so another thing that made 2 inaccurate as a percentage of net income, but it's going to be based on the base year income. So again, horizontal is income statement, vertical is balance sheet. We say 1 and 3 are good, so we will go with answer C, 1 and 3.